this is Nick and welcome to my channel and welcome to another bullet journal plan with me video. So for November, I opted to go for a minimalist theme again. I love how quickly this comes together, and I love how I only use two kinds of pens and a pencil to make all of these pages. And I'm excited to show you how I did it, so let's jump right in. So before I even started doing my spread, I actually listed down my goals first, and that's the sticky paper that you saw me remove a while ago. And right now you see me making the calendar. So I actually laid this out in pencil first, like I did a framework using pencil, so that way I make less mistakes. Though mind you, I did still make mistakes in the next pages, but doing it in pencil first actually helped minimize the number of mistakes that I could make in making this spread. And I know I talked over it a while ago, but I showed the pen that I'm using here. This is my new favorite fine liner, by the way. It's a Tombow Mono. I got one in 0.01 because I wanted a finer tip or thinner tip, but also wanted to try all the brands of fine liners out there that are pigment ink. So decided to try this one out, and by far this is my most favorite of all of them. Although I only did try Sakura and UniPin, I like the Tombow one better because it feels like it dispenses more ink. Like I don't have to really grip it tight or hold it tight or press hard to dispense. Like it just glides perfectly. I just love it. And now I'm gonna use my UniPin, which is a 0.5, and I'm gonna use this to write the label so that it's a thicker line, because the other one is a 0.1, right? So thinner lines for the calendar itself, the framework of the calendar, but thicker lines for the titles. These are the only two pens that I used for this entire calendar and the other monthly pages that I did for this month. You can actually make this spread with just one pen, just write thicker on the other one so that they stand out, like how they look like right now. So I'm using two thicknesses of ink this time to differentiate the titles from the lines, because last month what I did was to actually shade or color the entire title block, but that's actually very time consuming. It looks really nice, but it's very time consuming, and I wanted to try something that's less time consuming, so I figured I'll just use lines, thin and thick lines, and I really like how this turned out. So right now I'm writing my goals for the month, and I'm copying them from that sheet of paper on the left that you see, the one that has polka dots on it. So I'm copying it from there. And I mentioned towards the start of the plan with me that that's the first thing I actually did. I listed down my goals for the month before I started laying out a framework for what this month's pages would look like. And you might be surprised to see a lot of things on my goals list, but what I actually did was to think of one or two, sometimes three goals for each facet of my life or each of the things that I wanted to accomplish this year. And so that, it's breaking them down into more achievable bite-sized goals. So I have my annual goals, and then I'm trying to accomplish those annual goals. I made them smaller, turned it into smaller monthly goals, and then these monthly goals get broken down more into weeklies, and then those weeklies get broken down more into dailies, and that's just how I accomplish things. And you can see me flip over to my October monthly page quite a few times here, and if you're interested again to see that, I'll link it down below so that you can see it and see the explanation behind it. Aside from my goals, I'm actually listing down my to-dos, and anything left over from October, I'm listing them down here so that I don't forget them. And that's what I love about bullet journaling, by the way, the whole migration process, so that I don't forget anything, nothing gets left out, everything is accounted for. At the bottom of my calendar, I opted to put two more spaces, one for notes, that's the tandaan part, and the one I'm writing on now. And beside that are the things that to note or to take note of for the next month. So that way, if I know something's gonna come up for next month, I can put it here, or the future log, just two places to put things, whichever is easier for me to access. And then I'm filling out my calendar, looking at my future log and last month's log, and just migrate everything, schedule everything, so that everything again is accounted for and I'm reminded of them. In my monthly calendar, aside from the events that are happening, which isn't much because of COVID, I also put down due dates for my bills. And right now, something new that I'm putting on is my schedule for social media. And I'm actually going to use a pencil for that because my plans tend to change. And I used to plan on a different planner in my social media, but I find myself not really wanting to write on it for the past few weeks. So I decided to just put them in my bullet journal so that my ideas don't slip. And there's everything is in there. And when I'm ready to face that planner again, I can just write them down again there. And can I just say, I love using pencil in my bullet journal, especially for things that are very tentative, like my plans for my social media. It's just make things easier and neater because you can erase everything. You can also use friction pens if you want that. And the next is I'm actually doing away with my faith tracker, which is for the podcast, because my Bluetooth headset broke down, and the one that I got as a replacement doesn't really sound that nice. Although, mind you, I did buy it for cheap. So anyway, I'm still saving up for a proper Bluetooth earbuds, and until that comes, I'm not listening to podcasts right now. So I decided not to do that, but instead do a tracker for my social media. And this is something that I've always wanted to do in my social media planner, but didn't have the time to do it because it's very charty, or like, I'm using a regular planner for my social media, and doing this tracker is not really very easy to do there. So since I'm moving my social media plans to my bullet journal, I figured I'd make this spread finally. So the one I'm working on now is my YouTube analytics page, and this would help me, like, give me a bird's eye view of what's happening week on week, and hopefully, inspire me to make more content, more quality content. And you can see me erasing lines because I did everything in pencil first, as you can see here on the right side with my Instagram. So I'm gonna do the same and just turn everything into ink. I made it in pencil first to minimize mistakes, although of course I still made mistakes, and that's also fine. I find that the mistakes that I made are very minimal, to the point that they could be ignored. And that is why I love using pencil first. So, it minimizes the big mistakes where I placed things incorrectly or something. So, there. So, I'm working on my Instagram insights page right now, and I made so many mistakes in this spread page, rather. And I don't know if you can spot them, but I'm actually not very happy with how this page turned out. It's a little hard to read. I did mess up the spacing a bit, but I already inked it, so I have no choice but just use it. But overall, mistakes and spacing aside, I actually really like how this turned out, and I'd most likely fix it on my December spread. I can't wait to do it and fix this entire thing. But I really like how it looks like, and I can imagine how it would look like once it's filled out. It would be much, much more pleasing to the eye, and hopefully all the stats are going up instead of going down. And the spread is done. Moving on to the next page. This is actually not part of the monthly anymore, but my first weekly page for November, and this is week 45. I use a one-page weekly to serve as my dashboard for the week and to list down everything that I want to accomplish for the week, and also set my expectations, set my mind as to what will happen in this week. And it just helps me frame my mind and, set my goals for the week and be more productive for the week. I love how my weekly page has evolved in the past years, but what has remained constant is that I always have the days of the week, of course, which lists down all of the events and things that are supposed to happen on a specific day of this week. And then I added the focus, which is on the right side. I choose 3 things to focus on for this week. And then after that, I have my goals, which are the 3 things that needs to absolutely happen this week to call this week a success. And then my to-do list, which is things that I want to accomplish this week, not necessarily tied to a specific day of the week. And this is how I keep myself productive and achieving my monthly goals to help me achieve my yearly goals. Something new I did this month is to actually write everything down in pencil first so that the spacing is perfect and I just need to ink everything up. And I find that to be really, really helpful. And in the middle of doing this, my daughter decided to join me, so I had to stop filming because she was putting her hands everywhere. So let's move on to my cover page. I usually do this last because this is where I actually am more or the most creative when I'm making my pages. This is where I go all artsy. But the past few months, I'm actually being more minimalist as the month goes by. So this month, I actually opted to just use lines, and the inspiration for this was actually National Geographic. So it's just a rectangle, and then I just put the name of the month there. And you can see me writing backwards here. This is to ensure that I have ample space for all of the letters because it's right aligned. And my experiences, I usually lack space towards the right when I start writing left to right. So this month, I decided to start writing on the right, going to the left. And the spacing worked out beautifully. So that's it. I'm just erasing all my pencil marks to make it neater. And that's it, really. And so let's do a flip through of the month. So cover page, calendar page, social media page, and the first week. I filmed the flip through to a few days into November, so you can see a few days too. And that's it. I hope to see you in the next video. Hit like and subscribe if you learned something new from this video. And don't forget to hit that notification bell to get notified of new videos. Bye!